I have been sitting here heavily procrastinating doing this video because I know I have to, and just that thought alone makes me not want to do it. And that being said, I was feeling the feels about it and I realized something. Y'all would probably relate. So welcome to the Sagittarius vlog. Yay! So hello, if you are new here, my name is Paige, and this is a thing that I do on my channel where I talk about the zodiac signs while I'm in their energy, in their season, and just give you the tea on them, basically. Explain to you how this energy might show up. And like I just said, I am really feeling this energy right now. And it's not to say that Sagittarius is like lazy or like a procrastinator by any means. However, there is this certain thing where it's like,
I know I have to do this, and because of that, knowing that it's a need and knowing that I have to do it, that just makes me feel like I just simply don't want to.
Because Sagittarius is all about freedom, obviously restraints and commitments are kind of the opposite of that. So yeah, knowing that I have committed to a year-long like video series is definitely starting to weigh on me at this point, but I have one more video to go after this, so I digress. And notice how I immediately start talking about my overall perspective on things, how I'm handling them, etc. Well, that is also very Sagittarius because Sagittarius energy is very much related to philosophy. Sagittarius, the 9th house, Jupiter, I should say, are all related to higher-minded philosophy, that sort of thing. Which might explain why Sagittarius energy is just blunt. It will just kind of say what it feels because honestly, it will eventually amount to something that isn't going to be as bad as maybe the little snippets of it might be. So that is something I think Sagittarius really just understands. Hence why you see this energy acting so unapologetically like itself. Oh, speaking of, this dog is straight trying to brawl right now. So like, I guess I got to deal with that real quick. Come here. Come here. Go, 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 go. Going back to Sagittarius energy being related to the higher mind, I actually just made a YouTube video where I talk about deep life questions, which is hella Sagittarius energy. But I just made it in Sagittarius season, so it's very on point for the vibe, just the kind of things that we talk about in that video. So check it out if you want more thought-provoking things on what kind of energy a Sagittarius likes to focus on. Sagittarius also has a ton to do with expansion. Like I said, its ruling planet is Jupiter and also the 9th house, all related to expansion and abundance, which relates again to the higher mind because it's a culmination and it's an understanding that everything will eventually accumulate and build upon itself and become something worthwhile, basically. And that might explain why all Sagittarius season I've had a huge stack of books here at minimum like this big, ready at any moment to just think, just like this dog. Now, I like to call Sagittarius energy the guru and the groupie, which I think is important to know that it holds that duality because it's really never either or as much as it is always both. As I like to explain this, Sagittarius is very go with the flow, but in a way where it's like go with the inspiration, not so much the flow of like how people are moving. Meaning that if their inspiration takes them into a group of people, they'll still be able to be their authentic selves within that group of people, but they're definitely picking up where that energy is coming from probably a collective energy because this energy is on the other side of the horizon and it's more of a group-oriented energy. The groupie part of Sagittarius is that of someone who is a wanderer in spirit but knows that there's collective resonance that will help them find their way on their path. If you've ever read the book The Alchemist, this is very much Sagittarius energy, where there is an understanding that every little thing is a message, it's a symbol. And sometimes on your journey, you might find people that relate to your energy, that offer you some kind of insight or message, which might seem kind of small in the moment, but can be kind of blown up and seen for a higher symbolism that when put together with a higher mind or a higher perspective becomes something you can kind of like guru yourself through. A good example of this is how I teach people in general for my job. My Jupiter placement is an Aquarius technically, but I personally have a very strong love and strong desire to devote my energy to tarot and astrology, that kind of stuff. So in a very Sagittarius way, I follow my wanderlust, my bliss, and it brings me to a group of people that are in the same kind of bandwagon, you know? I'm a groupie for liking astrology. That's very much my Jupiter and Aquarius energy, especially because it's in the 6th house. However, like groupies do, I eat, breathe, live astrology to the point where I eventually become a kind of guru on it, a kind of master, somebody who has lived the experience, breathed the experience, and is now able to give a perspective or insight to other people because of my own journey and experience with the topic or with the energy at hand, creating the duality of the groupie and the guru. And my favorite example of this is my Sagittarius best friend, who is absolutely obsessed with Japanese culture, which, fun fact, Sagittarius energy also has a lot to do with foreign lands as well as religion, which, because I know she's such a groupie for that culture, I now know to go to her to ask any sort of questions about it like a guru, because she is such a little groupie about it. And ironically enough, that same friend was also the person who got me into astrology because of the same way that she had a passion that kind of like lived and breathed through her for a minute while she was expanding her knowledge and her higher mind on other philosophies in this world, other cultures, other ways of being, really. So in other words, truly shout out to you, bestie, for being a perfect example of what a Sagittarius should be in their best form. You rock. I love you. I have Sagittarius energy in my 4th house, so a lot of what I find myself teaching other people is about their inner world, 4th house things. Hence why a lot of my readings are life path readings or tarot readings or birth chart breakdowns or just things of that nature, because it's all about rooting what's going on within to the external world instead of a lot of other practices which do it the opposite way. So in other words, my Sag 4th house is very pleased with what I do in my spare time. Sagittarius energy also, I think, relates to that of like bandwagons or trends or something like that. Like, I don't know. Again, the groupie energy. So that being said, last night I didn't even think to film it for this video. Actually, no, I did think to film it for this video, but I got so immersed in the moment that I didn't. But anyways, I jumped on a TikTok trend with the heat miser and the cold miser and like did a little makeup look that was very extra, aka very Sagittarius, because Sagittarius energy goes all out for the things that they want to go all out for. They see no shame in that, and honestly, you shouldn't, like I said, because it all eventually amounts to something, which is good experience in life, and that is timeless, that's wise, and like I said, that's what makes you a guru. So please enjoy that look. Me again. So symbolism is a huge part of Sagittarius energy too, because everything seems to be a bigger message or a sign for them to move in a certain way. Inspired action, I guess, is a big like Sagittarius type of energy. So that being said, I get these kind of like inspired, you can probably hear the snow falling off the roof right now. But anyways, I get these inspired insights a lot that I just started to take note of over time, where I would just have like these little epiphanies, these clicks. That's very Sagittarius. And I just started to write them down really impulsively. And then at a later date, I would go back and expand on them, which later turned into what we call my astro hot takes, which I do over on my Patreon. It's actually also the root of where a lot of my tweets come from on my regular Instagram, or even my insights that I talk about over here. I mean, that is where a lot of the background work happens, which is ironic because I don't think people see that so much when it comes to Sagittarius energy, how much things are accumulating behind the scenes and how much they allow the work that they've done and the realities that they live to eventually accumulate and have this kind of like perspective or this level of mastery about being able to see the true depth of value into certain things. So it's really interesting, I found, because I, in very Sagittarian way, didn't understand how this was going to like unfold and how much abundance, you know, really was in like the single step that I took. But I mean, the mental journeying that I think goes into being able to just perceive and expand on your perception, which is super, super Sagittarius energy. I mean, that's why this energy is tied to wisdom and, like I was saying, the guru and things of that nature. It's like meant to have roots somewhere, and the roots are in different places than what, people might be comfortable with. It's very ambiguous energy because it's more of a spiritual thing than anything, or like a really like, I don't know, like an inner flame type thing, which kind of corresponds with spiritual energy.
Mini flip cup.